Hi everyone, it's Evangeline here at etrailer, and today we'll be taking a look at our Kuat Sherpa 2.0 2 bike rack right here on our 2015 Toyota 4Runner. So the Kuat Sherpa is a great kind of middle of the road bike rack where it's not as pricey as the Kuat NV, but it still has all the premium features you would expect from any Kuat bike rack. So we're going to take a look at this bike rack to see if it's the right fit for you, your adventure, and your 4Runner. So the first of the premium features that you will see in the Kuat Sherpa is that it can tilt away if you need access to your hatch. So right over here we have this lever. You're going to pull that lever and just let that drop down. And you'll want to do this if you want to open your hatch door, even if your bikes are on. So as you can see, we'll open our door and we have clearance between our handlebars and our door. Now we actually have kind of shorter handlebars, so if you have longer handlebars, this may prevent you from getting into your hatch unless you move the bike off to the outer side. So something to think about, you may have to find the best fit for you with your bikes, but it's nice to see that for this bike, it's a fit. Now if you do have longer handlebars and you aren't able to move your bike out to the outer position, or you just don't want to deal with that, another thing you can do, since you do have a 4Runner, is you could just lower the window if you still need access in there real quick. So this has a weight capacity of 40 pounds per bike, which is slightly more than your other platform racks. Now, not as much as the Kuat NV, which has 60-pound weight capacity, but if you're not carrying around your extra heavy electric bikes, that's perfectly fine. Also, we have a carbon frame bike right over here, and that's okay because we have a front wheel mount. So notice how this comes down and clamps our bike down by the front wheel. So compared to traditional bike racks, which have a frame mount, which can warp or crack your carbon frame, that's much preferable. Now when you want to take your bike off, you start over here at the back, which is our rear wheel strap. So you just press this lever and then you pull up on that strap. And then you what I like to do is I move that to the side so it's not caught up in my spokes when I take my bike off. Then I reach over here and hold on to your bike as you do so, because you don't want this to tilt back towards your 4Runner. You press this button, you lift this up, you push that out, and then you just grab your bike and you're ready to go. This is the more compact of the bike racks, where you have different features like this rotating wheel cradle to be able to accommodate different bike wheelbases. This strap goes right back in there. Please remember to put your straps back even if your bike is not on there. That way they're not flopping around as you drive around. Here in the front, we have our front wheel cradle. Notice how we have different grooves, kind of like the back rear cradle, where we can have our smaller tires as well as our wider tires. So the maximum tire width this can accommodate is up to 3 inches. So if you do have an extra, let's say, fat bike tire, maybe not the best fit for you, but usually 3 inches is more than enough. You also have this front wheel mount, which I talked about earlier. This ratchets down to secure your front wheel, and it folds down for a nice compact look. So your 4Runner is a larger vehicle, so if you have a small garage, you already know that's going to be a tight fit. But what if you have your bikes and your bike rack behind you? That's going to be even more length added. So we'll take some measurements to see how much. So measuring from our bumper to the furthest point of our bike rack, which is right over here, it sits at 35 inches of length added to the back of our 4Runner. So it's on the pretty normal side for a platform rack. The Kuat Sherpa cannot be extended up to 4 bikes, so you are limited to just that length. But if you want to carry around more bikes and you're fine with the extra space it takes up, check out the Kuat NV, which can be expanded to up to 4. Now let's talk about ground clearance. For your 4Runner, not going to be a big issue, but we'll still take some measurements just to see exactly how much we have to work with. Measuring from underneath the tray to the ground, we have a ground clearance of 27.5 inches, and then measuring from the shank to the ground, we have a ground clearance of about 19 inches. So that's because we have a shank rise. For other vehicles that sit lower to the ground than the 4Runner, that shank rise is going to be especially important. For you, it actually means you're going to have to reach up a little bit higher to load your bike, so just something to think about. This also has a compact position, so when you're not planning on taking your bikes out just yet, but you also want it to be a little bit neater against your vehicle. Or if this doesn't fit into your garage with it folded down, you can pull this lever and just fold this up against your car. Measuring from the bumper where we measured earlier to the closest point of the bike rack, we have a clearance of 7 inches of space. Now for the length added to the back of our 4Runner, we're gonna measure again from the bumper, and the tray sits at 11 inches, but it does stick out further here at the anti-rattle knob, and that sits at 18.5 inches. So big difference compared to when this was folded down. You'll definitely want it in this position when you just want to drive around town, or if you just want to store your bike rack inside your garage off of your vehicle. Now it does interact with our vehicle in different ways, like our rear window is completely visible, as are our tail lights. Now our backup camera sits right over here. So it kind of sits right above where the backup, where our bike rack is. So you'll definitely see your bike rack in your view, but you'll also be able to see around it, which is nice to know. Now we do have our license plate slightly covered. So you can see straight on that you can still see your license plate. But if that is still going to be an issue for you where it's slightly covered, you can just fold this right down and leave it in the down position if you want to. Now let's talk about how this sits into our hitch. So we have a 2-inch shank on our bike rack. You can get it in 1 1/4 inch, but since our 4Runner has a 2-inch hitch, that's what we're using. This has a hitch pin lock, and that lock is key to the cable lock that you will get with the bike rack. So not an integrated cable lock, but something that goes around and then locks into it. Now the cool thing about this is it's a tool-free install. So instead of having to deal with socket wrenches and sockets and wrenches, you just pop this into your hitch, tighten it down with this knob over here. It extends the ball cam and creates an anti-rattle effect. So let's do a shake test. As I shake our bike rack, I'm mainly moving the vehicle at this point, showing how secure that fit is between your bike rack and your car, making for a smoother ride for your bikes overall. Here on our test course, we'll start by going through the slalom. This is going to show us the side-to-side action, which simulates turning corners or evasive maneuvers. Once we get to the alternating speed bumps, we'll see the twisting action. This will simulate hitting a curb or a pothole, or driving over uneven pavement. Now lastly, we're going over some full speed bumps, and we can see here the up and down action, and this will just be like driving in and out of a parking lot, garage, or driveway. So we can see here how the bike rack moves with our truck. So my final thoughts about this bike rack is, for one, I really like how it looks. Kuat always makes good looking bike racks, especially here on our 4Runner. It just all looks really good. Another thing is it's a solid bike rack. It's very smooth. As you flip the lever, as you fold it down and fold it up, everything is smooth about it. Now the clearance between our hatch door and our bike rack was kind of on the smaller end. Like, it definitely cleared with our shorter handlebars, but it may be an issue for your longer handlebars. So remember, you can always just lower the window if you need to, or move your bike out to the other side. Also, it's very easy to dismount your bike if needed, so that's cool to see too. So when we were talking about looks, don't forget that this is the Kuat Sherpa in gray with orange accents, but you could also get it in pearl or metallic black, whichever fits your style a bit more. So all in all, this was a really quick look at the Kuat Sherpa 2.02 bike rack right here on our 2015 Toyota 4Runner.